Hello, friends. How are you? How's things? Let me know. We're doing something a little different this week. We are doing top five lists. Five of them. Five of my top fives. This idea was a birth child of our friend California Chris, who asked me a question that I'm going to cover today, quite possibly the most controversial of the top five lists, depending on what you hold dear in your heart. Um, and his original question was top 10. And he asked me top 10 favorite punk bands of all time. Actually, I think he said the top 10 best punk bands of all time. I'm not going there. I'm going with my top five. And the reason I'm doing five is later in the week, there's a couple of these I don't have 10 for. So we're just going to do five, and then I'll mention some honorable mentions. I do have 10 on my list, but I'm only going to tell you five that are my top five. And part of the reason is I think that these five are unequivocally punk bands. Maybe the top one, which you probably can all guess. You might not consider them punk, but they definitely are punk, and they identify as punk, and the punk scene identifies them as punk. But that's the thing with punk. Like, what is punk? Who sets the identity for that? The reason my list is weird is because I have only come into punk in the last handful, like 2 decades, maybe really honestly the last 10 years. Um, I was born in '79, so I missed the early punk. I don't really have a special place in my heart for the Clash. They're okay, not, but I wasn't part of that scene. '80s punk, I didn't really get to listen to much. Maybe I heard it in some skate videos or that sort of thing. '90s punk for me was like a Green Day because that's what was played on MTV, and maybe like The Offspring. Is that punk? I don't know. I don't really have a history with punk because there wasn't a scene for it near me, and obviously it didn't get super big national attention. So I kind of missed a lot of the kind of quote traditional punk, and I didn't come into punk until 2000 ish when I discovered my number one band. So we'll start at the top. We'll start at number one, Flogging Molly. Uh, my favorite band of all time. I've seen them more live. I've listened to them more than any other band, um, and they're phenomenal. I'm now friends with the band, and they're great people on top of being great musicians, and just a super fun show to attend. And I've been privileged to see shows, all over the place, and they're fantastic. From there, going to my number two band, I've only discovered this band in the last couple of years, like literally 2 or 3 years, and I think they're a 20-year-old band or something like that. For me, Red City Radio, phenomenal. I love everything that they're doing, or did. I don't know. They're kind of on hiatus right now, so I don't know if they're done or not, but I love their music. Absolutely love it. Um, of the other bands on this list, I think that's the one that you might say, is that punk? I don't know. I think it is. And I think they identify as punk, so why not? Number three on my list is Rancid. I think that one is like got to be on everybody's list at somewhere, right? I think Rancid is a top 10 punk band, if no for another reason than Tim Armstrong is a top 10 influencer of all things punk, ska, maybe even reggae. Those are all kind of intermingled in some way, shape, or form, I think. So, but again, I tried to stick to like quote punk bands. Number four on my list is Face to Face. Just good energy. Love those guys. And number five, again, I've only come into number five recently. Funny enough, I listened to. I just forgot their singer's name. I listened to his solo stuff before I listened to his punk stuff, and this is Hot Water Music. Really love Hot Water Music. I think for me, both Red City Radio and Hot Water Music, their singers are these very gravelly, raspy dudes, and I like that. I like that a lot. And it's just good music. Other bands that made my list but didn't make my list or that I put on here are things like the Pogues. The Pogues would probably be the closest that I have to like a traditional punk. But also, are they punk at all? I have Propagandhi on here. I love Propagandhi, but are they more hardcore? I would even argue that Propagandhi is like prog rock or prog metal. which is part of the reason why I like them. 80s, 90s, I was a metal kid, like thrash metal, hair metal. That was my stuff. Industrial, which I can classify as metal. I think Nine Inch Nails is a metal band. I don't think anybody would argue with that. That was my jam until the grunge scene happened, and then I started transitioning more into indie rock, grunge rock, and I stayed with that for a long time until I found Flogging Molly, and then I don't know. I've been all over the place since then. I also listen to like everything. There's country artists I listen to. I listen to a lot of rap, hip hop, R&B, soul, blues. I like. There's so many things that I love. So trying to distill this list to like these are quote punk bands. Another old band that I do actually very much enjoy is Circle Jerks. I put them on the list just because like that is an older band. Or Stiff Little Fingers. I like Stiff Little Fingers a lot. An older band that rocks, and I love listening to them. Another band that I think identifies as punk is At the Drive-In, but they're also kind of like post-hardcore or emo punk or something. But I love At the Drive-In. And then skate punk, MXPX. I mean, I don't think you could. Who's at the top of the skate punk list? So. My 5, Flogging Molly, Red City Radio, Face to Face, or Rancid, Face to Face, Hot Water Music. I had a hard time placing Face to Face and Rancid, actually. That might be sacrilege to some, but to me, I don't know. They flop around a lot. There you go. My top 5 favorite punk bands of all time. Who's your favorite? Maybe give me your top 5 in the comments. Thank you for watching. If you like this, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button. We are on a positive growth trend for the first time in like 6 years. So I'd love to see the subscriber count continue to grow. I appreciate you. I'll see you tomorrow. Today's 1,000 plus little things happy, successful people do differently. We have been learning 16 harsh truths that make us stronger. We are on number 7. You can't be successful without providing value. Don't waste your time trying to be successful. Spend your time adding value to the world around you. That's powerful. Adding value is hard to do, especially when you're very self-critical, and it can be really easy to think you're not adding value when you actually are.